everybody. Welcome in, guys. Hope you're having a great Monday evening, or wherever you are in the world. Maybe it's almost Tuesday. Welcome in, guys. Today we will be learning about surrealism. And surrealism is a really fun movement. One of my favorites, personally. Hello, guys. Welcome. I can see some familiar faces. Yeah, we're streaming. Actually, today is our last Monday stream where we're going to be streaming at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're actually changing our Monday streams starting next month. We're going to be streaming at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So hopefully for our European friends, they'll be able to join us a little bit earlier. Yeah. Welcome, Darren, our lovely mod. So today we are going to be drawing, we're going to be doing a study. And how many of you guys know what surrealism is? Let me know if you have heard of the movement. Surrealism is a really fun movement, and it's one of those movements that really stand out to me personally, because it's kind of like it's one of those very dream-like states, and I have a lot of fun drawing surrealism myself. But what you see in front of you is actually a really famous painting by a man named René Magritte. So let me spell his name out. Magritte. So we're going to be looking at a few surrealists. This one is quite a famous painting, but before we get into it, let me introduce myself. My name is Faye. If this is your first stream, we are Winged Canvas, and our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week and level up your skills with our community of artists. And the other thing that we do, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. So a huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you grow in our classes and weekly critiques. We've seen some incredible improvement among our students recently, and it's so exciting to see. If you want to dive deeper, you can join our Discord to access stream notes and demos, as well as exclusive workshops, challenges, and more free resources to help you improve your art. So come connect with fellow artists and get inspired. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the stream, what we're doing today, and then we are going to go and look at some submissions. So thank you so much for the donation somewhere out there. That's very sweet of you. You are already one of our best students, and so thank you so much for your support. Any plans to tackle watercolor stuff again anytime soon? Yeah, watercolor definitely in classes, but we have a request thread on our Discord. So if you join our Discord, you can actually tell us what you want us to see. So we're actually focusing more on digital stuff, but I can experiment with some watercolor techniques today in Rebel, which is the program that I'm using. All right. So, welcome Awari Duck, another lovely student. Art Freak, any tips for character designs? Probably not today, but we have lots of character design tutorials on the stream. Today we're gonna get weird though, okay? We're gonna get weird. All right. So if you are somewhere out there says low key feeling a bit down and doubtful of progress, any tips for anyone to handle that? Yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do something called a stream of consciousness. This is a really, really fun exercise where we just get to draw whatever we are thinking. Whatever we are thinking today, there's absolutely no rules, no planning, nothing. It's just going to be a stream of consciousness. So this is going to be really, really fun. And I will show you how I approach it. So surrealism, let's talk about surrealism for a minute here. So surrealism is a movement that actually kind of started after World War I. So it was kind of around World War I, and it was led by an artist named Andre Breton like the cracker, Breton. And it actually was it was around the time of Sigmund Freud's theories. So Freud, if you don't know already, famous psychologist who had all of these really sort of almost like dark, dreamlike theories. And some of them were quite dark, but it kind of stemmed off of his theories and his studies. And it also was like the movement was also characterized by a lot of juxtaposition. So juxtaposition is when you take basically like two objects that don't really belong together and you put them together and you're kind of like, what do you think? Right? So juxtaposition is a type of contrast within themes. So juxtaposition is a great theme for illustrators, for artists, if you want to really kind of level up your conceptual skills. You can try using juxtaposition as a creative prompt, for example. So contrast within themes. So for example, a fish and a bird, right? Like a fish flying and a bird in the water. That could be something that is an example of juxtaposition. And with the surrealist movement, there was a lot of dreamlike situations. So dreamlike themes, things that are like realistic, because surrealism stems from things that feel realistic, but are like they don't really make sense, right? Nonsensical. Does that make sense? And then they also draw heavily on themes such as so some of the themes that are nonsensical that you might remember is there's this painting called The Persistence of Memory. So this isn't actually a famous painting by Salvador Dali, whom we're going to be studying today. And Dali juxtaposed this painting here is actually about the concept of time and how the concept of time doesn't actually exist. It's just a man-made notion, right? So these melting clocks are a way to kind of symbolize that type of imagined construct, right? Dali was really, really good at using symbolism. So if you look at some of his paintings, you'll see reoccurring symbols like ants. He uses ants a lot. He uses melting clocks, insects, really, really long eyelashes on these like skin-like faces that don't really resemble a face. So they're kind of creepy looking. But there's a lot of symbolism. And symbolism is also really, really fun to work with. So there you go. So symbolism. And if you have ever seen this painting, let me know in the chat if you've seen this painting, but it is definitely a very, very famous one. And in this painting, Magritte, this is actually called The Son of Man. So it's a surrealist painting that really explores the themes of like identity, right? Like, who is this person? Is this person real, right? Like questioning reality. Questioning reality. Is this real? Have you guys ever had a dream where you kind of knew you were dreaming because things started to like stop making sense? Have you ever had a dream like that? Yeah, this is actually an apple, and it's green, and if it has some biblical, like it's referencing, you know, how Adam and Eve ate from the tree, right? Ate the forbidden fruit. So part of it is that forbidden fruit. I'm not actually sure why it's green. It's quite intriguing that it's green. But yeah, it's basically suggesting that like it's right on top of his face, right? So it alludes to maybe the idea of temptation, right? Maybe temptation. Maybe the idea of being blinded by temptation. Right? Questioning identity. Like, who is this person? Right? Who is this person? And if you are in my classes, or if you've ever kind of heard me give critique, I always tell people to avoid tangents, right? I'm always telling people, oh, there's a tangent here and there's a tangent there. Well, guess what? This artist made a very interesting choice. They put the apple right in front of the face, and you can see like a little bit of the eye there, right? It's just enough to make you kind of uncomfortable. And that like discomfort is actually intentional, right? They're using the tangent intentionally. And this is a type of advanced composition. So if you've seen our latest video is about advanced composition, breaking the rules of composition, and this is one of them, right? This is a way where you can actually use the tangents. So this piece actually breaks a lot of rules of composition. First of all, one of the main rules of composition is don't be symmetrical, right? Like if you do a painting where everything is perfectly symmetrical like this, right? Normally I would say, don't do that. That's boring, right? This is a very, very boring composition. However, in this famous painting, it's actually being used intentionally, right? It's not completely symmetrical, but it's pretty close. So this is approximate symmetry with a very, very obvious tangent of the fruit in front of the face. Yeah, exactly. You got to know the rules to break them. And maybe they're saying that the apple, I don't know why they're using a green apple, but maybe they're saying that the truth can actually be sour, maybe, right? Maybe it's not as sweet, right? Maybe the Garden of Eden. I'm not really quite sure. I'm just putting my own thoughts into this green apple, but maybe they're saying it's actually sour, right? Yeah, so green can represent various things. So there's a lot of symbolism within surrealism that can be really, really fun. All right, so Jaren says me when I don't want to draw facial features. Yeah, totally true. Someone out there says maybe it's also, help, and maybe it also helps the discomfort of the truth, like the discomfort this painting brings. That's a really good point. Discomfort. Sort of the surrealism has a lot to do with discomfort and just maybe like an alternate reality, right? And something off, like something is not quite right with it, right? There's something not quite right. So what makes you question if this is real or not? So the style is actually realistic, right? Everything is painted in a realistic way. However, the apple, because it's floating and he's not holding it, is just like kind of right in front of his face. This is the only area where it feels very, very surreal. Okay. So we're going to look at some other examples of surrealism, but you know, a lot of these paintings are really open to our interpretation, right? And so oops, just take this off here. Yeah. A lot of these paintings, like a lot of surrealist paintings, and most paintings in general, they leave a lot to the imagination. And so the entire like alternate reality piece can keep it very, very interesting. So again, with the persistence of memory, this piece, we talked about it a little bit. Dali used a lot of symbolism. And the melting clock is the perfect metaphor for time not being real, right? So when time is not real, then it's actually my partner and I talk about this all the time. I'm very much under the notion that time is fluid. Time is a construct. And have you ever noticed that time can get really, really slow, or it feels very, very slow when you're young? And then as you get older, it just gets faster and faster and faster. Or if you're doing something really fun, right? If you're doing something really, really fun, then time just seems to go super, super fast. Or when you're doing something really boring, like staring at a wall, the seconds go very, very slowly. So I'm very much of that nature, whereas my partner is very much, you have to be on time for everything. And he's very, very like, takes time very seriously. So it's funny that, you know, there are different ways we can perceive time and its actual, like, is it true or is it just something that we made up and we all agree to go by? And then last but not least, one of my favorite artists is Frida Kahlo. So Frida is a Mexican artist, and if you haven't seen our blog or our video on Frida, we have a video on the channel about Frida and her life. We have a video that features her work, but Frida Kahlo she was like a mostly self-taught artist. She had a horrible injury when she was 16 years old, and she lived her whole life in a lot of pain. Just constant pain, right? Because she broke her spine and she was bedridden, which is why she started making art. And she also had a very, very tough, not childhood, but just like young adult life. Was very, very challenging. She ended up marrying a man named Diego Rivera, who was also a very, very famous surrealist. And he was just a notorious philanderer, right? Like, just kind of, she sort of caught him having an affair with her sister. Like, just like all these horrible things happened to her and her marriage, but the whole time she stayed with him and she respected him as an artist, and they were inseparable, even though they caused each other to suffer very, very much. So a very, very interesting story of Frida. And I actually painted a portrait of Frida Kahlo, and you may have seen this on the channel, but I was so inspired by her and her story that I did a portrait of Frida as well. But in this painting, you can see this is a double self-portrait. So when you paint a self-portrait, most of the time you're painting one portrait of yourself, right? But this is a massive piece, and she painted a double self-portrait that kind of symbolizes her dual heritage. So she's partially Mexican, partially American, and you know, both of them are kind of broken. They share the same heart. She shows a lot of just kind of like a lot of pain and suffering, and her duality, because she was always very she explored her identity, and you know, she was she kind of experienced a lot of loss and a lot of separation in her life. And if you haven't seen Frida Kahlo's the movie Frida with Salma Hayek. It's with an E. With Salma Hayek. Watch this movie. It is so beautifully made. So inspiring, heartbreaking, and a must watch. I definitely recommend it for all artists to watch and learn about her life. She died very young, and but she left behind lots of amazing paintings. A lot of them were very much about her life. They were very autobiographical. And she had an amazing life. Anyway, was it Vincent who was in a mental asylum? Yes, it was Vincent. Yeah. So Frida Kahlo, one of my favorite artists. So I actually did a painting. Let me see if I can import it here. So I'm using a program called Rebel, and in Rebel, if you pull if you scale a piece, it just scales with the set proportions. But if you press Shift, that's when it distorts. But in most digital programs, it's the opposite. So I'm still getting used to all of the shortcuts being different. Anyway, so this is my portrait of Frida Kahlo. It's also a double self-portrait. I was so inspired by her life and her movie that I decided to paint a portrait of her. And this portrait can actually be hung this way or upside down, so it can be hung this way as well. So this portrait is actually about her love and her loneliness. So this is Diego Rivera up here. He was always part of her. She described him as being, you know, part of her, almost like they shared a similar soul, like a similar, she felt like even though she hated him, even though he continuously, you know, cheated on her and all these things, she still loved him, and she couldn't, you know, they were still soulmates. And so this tortured relationship really was very fascinating for me. So I did this painting, and this painting took me like 7 years to do, 7 years to complete. Because at one point I was so stuck on it. I was like, I don't know what to do with it. So I left it for a couple years, and then I picked it back up. But in this painting, you'll see there is a lot of symbolism. For example, these gloves were actually a gift given to Frida by Pablo Picasso. And she wore them, and she also, you know, like the gloves are kind of playing piano. She was musical. There's a lot of insects here. So this piece is called Frida's Garden. And it has all of these skulls that kind of symbolize death, and a lot of these like little naked ladies, little fairies sort of in the distance, right? Just kind of like all around her. And so I had a lot of fun painting this. It was one of my favorite pieces in the end, even though it took very, very long. So yeah, we're going to explore surrealism today, and do our own piece. But today I thought it would be fun to actually do a stream of consciousness piece, where we actually follow our intuition and just let that guide us instead of having a concrete plan. So yeah, 7 years. Thank you. Thank you somewhere out there. Yeah, this is a piece that I really love. I don't think I'll ever sell it, but I do have prints of it. So I really like this idea of the upside down face, and I thought that that could be a theme that we explore together. But before we go into it, let's just quickly talk about our submissions. So if you're part of the Discord, you'll know that this month's theme is oddballs and oddities. So really, really fun theme. If you have something really odd, if you have a character that's really strange, definitely submit your artwork. I've chosen 3 that sort of fit with today's theme. So the first one is by Jamie. Jamie submitted this. Let me just see if I can find the let me just find your write-up for this. So Jamie said that this is a creature that they made for a sci-fi comic that they're working on. It's an archivist, which are creatures made to store knowledge. They live in low gravity environments, so their necks are able to grow to great lengths. I just love the imagination here. I love how complex the neck is, and you got all the bones in there, and you've got like, you know, all the wiring and everything. And I love how it's like very organic at the bottom, like simple and organic, and just super, super complex in the neck. I love that contrast and the imagination of this creature. Really, really nice work. Second submission is by Angel Archer. Angel Archer, not sure if you're here in the chat. This is the thing that I made. I'm still working on some stuff, but here's what I have now. Lots of notes on this creature. I really, really like just like the long jaw, the teeth, and it looks very gentle, right? It kind of looks gentle and scary at the same time. I love how it has claws and hooves. So really interesting design, and love that it's in watercolor. Nicely done, Angel. Thank you for submitting. And last but not least, we have Galactic Firefly. Galactic Firefly. This is just one of the spreads that you submitted in your sketchbook. A little Casa Obaki girl called Kurai. She's a cyclops, I guess, but super cute. Love the montage and how you kind of made it into a digital sketchbook. So join the Discord so that you can participate in the monthly challenges whenever you need a prompt. All right. So I thought it might be fun today for us to actually draw an upside down portrait. So we can start with a portrait, something we all know how to draw, and then we can get really crazy, right? We can start to get silly. I drew this on the base layer. Okay. So I thought it would be fun for us to draw something like the Frida portrait, but we're gonna do this with Dali. We might as well make an homage to Dali. When Wing Canvas had a physical location, we had a studio named after Dali. It was the kids' studio because you were allowed to get silly in there. All right, so normally normally how I start portraits is I usually kind of start with the ball and shield, right? And I'm gonna loosely draw a ball and shield. Why does this dude look familiar? Because he's the famous surrealist, the guy that drew the persistence of memory, the melting clocks. This is Salvador Dali. He was an artist that I think he lived until the 80s, like 1988 or 89 was when he passed away. He lived to be about 84. He was a Spanish artist, and I believe he knew Picasso, he knew Magritte. A lot of these surrealists and a lot of these artists actually knew each other and hung out. And he was just a very eccentric guy, like just very kooky, I guess is the modern term. Very kooky, very eccentric. So I thought it could be really fun for us to draw him and then flip him upside down and just go nuts with the surrealist art. So if you're here and you got your drawing tools, you can draw along with me. So we're just gonna, the whole premise of surrealism is to turn the familiar into something unfamiliar, right? So in order for surrealism to work, you need to have realism, right? So there's got to be one level of realism before we get to the surrealism. So we're going to start with the realism first. And what I'm going to do is just map out his eyes and like really draw the drama on his face. And have some fun. So normally when I work on a piece, I usually I have a plan, and I did think about like, oh, what am I gonna do for this stream? I thought about it over the weekend. You know, what type of symbolism do I want to put? And the more I thought about it, the less surreal it became, the less kind of stream of consciousness it became, right? So I decided, you know what? The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by drawing a face, and then I'm going to see where that takes me. So I intentionally decided not to plan anything and just to kind of go with the flow and see how that goes. It's very, very against how I normally work, so sometimes it's fun to do a little experiment like that. Business in the front, party in the stash. He was always having a party in his stash. He had a famous mustache, so that part's going to be really fun. Now, if you are drawing a face, right, you want to, and you're drawing a face, it doesn't matter which direction the face is in, you want to draw it, you want to draw the eyes together, right? Draw the eyes together, draw the eyebrows together. because if you draw one perfect eye and then you don't draw the other one at the same time, sometimes it's just like 2 millimeters too low or not in the right place. With digital, it's a little less scary, but for the traditional artist, it could be a big time suck if you have to end up moving something or adjusting something. And if it's in watercolor, then you're out of luck completely. Like, you're using a more unforgiving medium, right? So you always want to draw them together. He saw something he shouldn't have with that face. His own reflection, maybe. All right. So yeah, our studios, back when we had a physical location, they were named after 4 of my favorite artists: Dali, our surrealist; Sargent, our master realist, neo-realism; and Monet, our favorite impressionist; and Kusama, pop artist. They were named after 4 different art movements. Surrealism is just such a fun movement because it doesn't really take itself seriously, right? And it's very human because our dreams are very personal. And have you guys ever had a reoccurring dream? Like a dream where you keep having it, and you'd wake up and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I've dreamt that before. Let me know if you've ever had a reoccurring dream, and when you're in it, you realize that you're actually dreaming. Anybody ever have a lucid dream where you actually are able to control your dream because you realize within your dream that you're dreaming? It's a super crazy experience if you've ever, I don't know, like I used to have really, really crazy dreams. I would have a very active imagination, and I always dreamt I would have like nightmare public bathroom dreams, just dreams where I would go into I was like trying to navigate my way to a bathroom, and all the toilets were like flooding and like really, really gross, and I was like, and the stalls were all broken, and it was just a maze of horrible bathrooms. That was one of my horrible reoccurring nightmares. I never actually looked into what the symbolism meant, but I think I had some childhood trauma of going to Asia and trying to use public bathrooms there. And I think that trauma kind of stayed with me. Void Lost said, I had a recurring dream where I constantly was between my room and my parents' room. I could see myself sleeping. I could see my room fully, but I couldn't see my parents' room, even in their door. Yeah, it's really, really interesting when you have dreams that kind of repeat themselves and you can remember them very, very vividly. I used to keep a dream journal, and I was really into lucid dreaming. There's actually a couple of inventors that I follow. They made this device called Pixel Stick, which allowed you to paint with light. So I sponsored them on Kickstarter, and I got one of their products. And then their second product was actually a lucid dreaming mask. So they're like 2 tech guys. So they made a sleeping mask that will detect when you are dreaming by the movement of your eyes, and then it starts to light up in a certain way to signal that you're dreaming, and then you learn to recognize the pattern in your dream. So really, really cool. I haven't been that serious about lucid dreaming, but I thought it was a very cool, very niche device. Okay. So I have painted many portraits of Dali just because he has such a very interesting face and he's very super eccentric, right? So he's got this exaggerated expression in almost all of his portraits. So really fun to just kind of start by drawing his face. I'm using a pencil brush here, just like a big soft pencil brush with a program called Rebel. Actually, Rebel 7, we were just sent Rebel 8 to try out, but I haven't had a chance to install it yet. Looking forward to trying that. So I'm probably just going to work in black and white today. And again, I'm just going to focus on starting off with realism and then going more into the surrealist realm. For some reason, when I have lucid dreams, I can't control them, so stuff is just happening to me. You know what? I think the first step is realizing that you're dreaming, right? When you realize you're dreaming, you're just like, oh wow, right? But then sometimes you forget it like within the dream, and you just kind of continue to dream, and you just notice it for that split second. Right? And then you're back to dreaming. It's happened before where I was dreaming. I had a dream as well, and I knew I was dreaming, but then I also wasn't able to control it. So similar thing happened to me. But it was like a very, very short sort of realization, and then I was back to dreaming. So yeah. All right. Welcome in, Kazovsky. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome to stream. Like I said earlier, we are going to be streaming at a new time starting next week. Starting in November. And that's going to be 12 p.m. Eastern time. Because the YouTube algorithm actually tells us that's when most of our viewers are online. In the mornings. Which is so bizarre. But, you know, we're gonna try to be online when you guys are online. So that more of you can tune in and join our free lessons. All right, so I also really like this tool, this Rebel pencil tool. It's probably the best pencil tool I've ever used in any program. It's just super soft. It's got very nice texture, and it looks very natural. It doesn't feel digital at all. So it's a very, very nice brush to use. So Salvador Dali was he was actually pretty famous when he was young. He had his first show when he was just a teenager, his first exhibition. His family was very supportive of his art. I think for a lot of us, a lot of artists may not have that type of support from our families. And I think that is actually quite unfortunate, because it, you know, we have to support each other. We have to, you know, believe in each other when sometimes we don't have that same support, because family support makes a huge difference. If you have a family that is supportive of your creativity, that understands, you know, what it's like to be creative and not be able to draw, like that pain of being a creative person who can't draw. It's like the most painful thing. And if they understood that, I think they would be generally more supportive. But there's this notion that like it's so hard to be an artist, and you know, it's so hard to make an income and all this. But I think that it's more than ever, that is just not true, because every single thing we use and watch and look at and scroll through has been touched by an artist. Whether it's the interface of something that you're looking at, somebody had to design that. Whether it's a t-shirt you're wearing, somebody had to design that textile, that pattern, that print, right? If you're using a tool, somebody had to make that. An industrial designer had to design it, right? Had to make a prototype, had to test it. Creative people are everywhere. They touch everything that we use, and they don't really, we don't really know, like we don't really see it. But once you do, you start seeing it everywhere. You start realizing how artists are everywhere. And that now more than ever, it's very, very possible to make a great living and a great life from being an artist or a designer. In my opinion, it's the same, even though there's like different labels for it. Oh, they're a concept artist, or though they're a graphic designer, or this person's an illustrator, or this person's a fine artist. I think when we think about artists, we just think of fine artists, right? Like gallery artists. We think of Van Gogh. We like to think of like the tortured artist. But Salvador Dali was not a tortured artist. He had a great life. He was very, he was famous. He was able to, you know, support himself. And not just that, like he was very, very well off. Even though he did lose all his money in the end. Due to I can't remember the story, but he was like basically broke at the end, and then his because his paintings were sold without his consent, with some kind of loophole, and then he ended up like having people sort of support him, and he ended up living a comfortable life with a lot of love and support in the end, near the end of his life. So my YouTube studio just crashed, so hopefully I'm still here. Okay, I see the chat now. All right, so I just kind of wanted to get a very basic drawing down of Dali, and then kind of flip it over and try to do this stream of consciousness thing. Not like, my goal isn't really to draw a portrait, but to create an environment using Dali's face. So now I'm gonna start erasing some of these lines. Kazovsky, I'm very glad that our videos have been helpful. Curious, what was your favorite one? Because we are planning our videos for next year. So if you're on our Discord, you can tell us in our content suggestions thread what you'd like us to work on. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is turn this upside down. Wish you could make art and make enough good as Dali. You can. Never say never. Never say never. Okay, have you ever looked at somebody's face upside down? If you've ever looked at a face upside down, you would probably start to see all kinds of different faces within the faces. So for example, here with Dali, if you can like just kind of unfocus your eyes a little bit, you can start to see, I'm going to start to draw a second face. So if I were to draw the eyes and sort of the eyebrows here. Right. Those are the eyebrows. Maybe we could draw a nose. I've always been the type to see faces everywhere, even faces within faces, which is very weird. But I'm starting to see a face within his face here. And really I'm just starting to have fun, starting to like get weird. Oops. And really not following any rules. Yeah, now he's staring into your face, right? Less scary than right side up. Sometimes that's how it is. Oh, cool. You like minimalism. Yeah, you know what? Simplifying is so difficult to do. Totally difficult to do. We might think that getting more and more complex is harder, but it's actually not. Like simplifying is one of the most difficult things to do. I might turn his ears into some kind of like, I don't know. I want to put some melted clocks somewhere. I'm not sure where it's gonna go yet. But this face is making me laugh right now. It's very funny. But you know, I love making art that is funny and kind of doesn't take itself too seriously. So always fun to get weird. So do I see a face up here? I do. Maybe I'll draw a second face. So let's see. I kind of want to draw almost like he's like sleeping, or like, you know, that that theme of the this one of the persistence of memory, like those long eyelashes, right? I want to put one of those on the face at the top here. So almost like how he draws them. So really, really long, kind of long, closed eyes like this. Again, I'm going to draw them together. This is going to be an homage to Dali, so it's going to have some of his work inside. So I think his eyes with those really long eyelashes, they were supposed to be, I think they were like elephant eyes. Have you guys ever seen elephants? They have very, very long eyelashes. If you ever look at an elephant eye, they've got these like super, super long lashes. He used a lot of similar themes, so he would use elephants in a lot of his work and juxtapose them, like put them on stilts, even though they're so heavy. Right? He would kind of draw these elephants on stilts, which I thought was very funny. So there we've got like a sleeping, melty face. And this almost looks like the nose, which is kind of funny. And I put out a poll actually for this stream asking you guys if your dreams were an art style, what would they be? And 47% of you said realistic but weird, which is exactly what surrealism is. So that was definitely interesting, because I think if your dreams were not realistic, then you would know that you were dreaming, right? Yeah. All right. So we're doing a surrealism stream of consciousness. My pen is lagging so much. Because I got too many things open today. So a stream of consciousness drawing is really like a drawing that's not very planned at all. It's just you're kind of drawing whatever you feel like, and you are just kind of like following your intuition. Really fun, because we always have to, you know, we always feel like we have to plan. We always feel like we gotta like know exactly what we're doing all the time. But sometimes it's fun to just draw whatever you're feeling. And it doesn't actually have to make sense. It can just, almost like how when you talk to monks, right? They're like, well, you just, people aren't okay with just like being, right? We always have to be doing something. We always have to be filling our time with this or that. But why don't you just be? Like, just be. Like, what does that mean? What does just being even mean, right? Does it mean just like sit there and stare into space? Well, what do animals do when they just exist, right? They're not always looking at their phones. They don't always feel like they have to be busy or they have to be doing something. Sometimes it's fun to just kind of, you know, follow, just like go down the rabbit hole of your intuition and see where it takes you. So this little dude with the elephant eyelashes is now has hair, right? Now it's like, okay, the neck has kind of become hair. So I think it might be fun to make his hair kind of, I don't know, like it's almost like it's melting, but going the opposite way. Right, almost like he's falling. I'm gonna just kind of follow that texture. And here he's dreaming. Oh, you came here expecting realism and you got surrealism. Caro Pico. Yeah, in the spirit of October and our oddities challenge, thought it would be really fun to do a surrealist stream where we are today we're just doing a stream of consciousness painting or drawing, which is literally you're following your intuition and seeing where it takes you. So imagining that this is some kind of environment. In the persistence of memory, there's a lot of themes of like these melting clocks, right? And I feel like this painting wouldn't, or this drawing wouldn't be complete if I didn't have some melting clocks somewhere. So maybe I will, I'm kind of thinking, should I put the clocks kind of like hanging off his mustache, or maybe I can turn his ears into the melting clocks? What do you guys think, chat? What does the saying time is an illusion mean? Which means time is something that we made up. Like, I mean, it has definitely something to do with the you know, the sun, and the you know, every day it gets dark and then it gets light again. Like we follow the planets in terms of every time the Earth, you know, every day, there's 24 hours in a day, and sometimes there's an extra day in the year, but time is one of those things that feels very real, but sometimes it's it can almost feel very fast or very slow. Especially as you get older. As you get older, time just gets faster and faster and faster. It feels faster. But yeah, Salvador Dali played around with the perception of time and with the sort of like the illusion that time is not real. That's why he put in those melting clocks. So I'm gonna start to put in some branches. I feel like I want to put some branches in his ear. And again, I don't have any plans here. I am just putting in, using some symbols that he uses in his paintings. And I'm just doing a style study of Dali while I am making a landscape out of his face. That's yeah, that's what I'm doing. An upside down face landscape. So Dali always used these like very, almost like cement blocks. And in these like weird landscapes, he would have the natural elements like cliffs and mountains and water. But he would also have these like very clean, pristine things like boxes or tables or just like a piece of cement. So if you look at this piece here, right, like the cloth is almost on this ledge, right? This looks very unnatural. The ants are going into a pocket watch, or like they're coming out of a pocket watch. So I'm definitely going to put some ants in this drawing of mine as well. But yeah, surrealism has a lot of symbolism. And I just think it's a lot of fun. I'm kind of clicking around and looking at some of his pieces. He's got this reoccurring theme of elephants with super long legs. And I'm gonna try and redraw one of them just for fun, just to kind of see what other themes I can get away with. So kind of like elephants on stilts. Almost like elephant daddy long legs. If that makes any sense. So almost like drawing a that's also an example of juxtaposition that we kind of talked about, right? Drawing how do you draw the impossible? Because when you think about elephant legs, right, they're like really thick legs. But here they're very long and spindly. And actually, Dali's paintings were in some kind of like Disney film. Was it a Disney film? It was in he actually also did some animation and did some surrealist films, which were really cool. They were all based off of his paintings. You can kind of play around with the theme of juxtaposition, right? It's such a great theme to play with because it's that, you know, unexpectedness, that sort of like challenging our notion of what we label things as, and being able to utilize contrast with themes. So contrast of objects versus like contrast of color or of value. Hi, Fantasy Feline. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, you finally made a stream. I'm glad you could make it. We're going to actually be streaming earlier on Mondays, so hopefully our European friends will be able to come, because we hear from them that we have several students from Europe, and they're always like, oh, when you stream, it's like 3 a.m. my time. So we're going to try and stream a little bit earlier so we can catch more folks. So we're actually starting that in November. We're going to be streaming at noon on Mondays, Eastern Time. Okay, so not sure if I'm going to be doing color yet. I think I'm just gonna, again, I didn't plan anything today because today is a stream of consciousness drawing, and if you've ever done this, it's really fun. All you need to do is just draw whatever comes to your head. Whatever you feel like drawing, whatever you feel like adding to your piece, just add it. This is the time to do it. A stream of consciousness drawing captures your the consciousness or your thoughts at the very given moment, which is very dreamlike, right? Because when we're awake, we don't actually follow our stream of consciousness. We just kind of dismiss it, right? Sometimes we have thoughts that kind of interrupt, right, our other thoughts, and we're just like, yeah, okay, I don't know why my mind went there, but out with you, thought. But actually, with the stream of consciousness, if you actually follow the path of your conscious or subconscious mind and follow every single thought that you have, it can lead to some super interesting pieces or super interesting work, just like really, really random. So, I'm actually using some of the reoccurring themes in Dali's artwork, but also adding some of the things that I just thought about. I just thought about some of the circles, kind of like about to fall on his face, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put that in. I'm gonna be very true to the theme of the stream of consciousness and just paint what what comes to my head. Just keep the shading nice and light. They kind of look like tears upside down. Yeah, a little bit. This is supposed to be a silly piece. It's supposed to not give you anxiety. Oh, and you are from Europe, okay? Alright, cool. Alright, so we got an elephant. We have, I know Dali uses a lot of clouds in his artwork, so I think what I'm gonna do is start to put in some clouds, maybe kind of here down at the bottom, and obscure the hairline a little bit, because clouds, clouds are a symbol of dreams, right? They symbolize dreams, they symbolize like not almost like the unknown, right? This kind of realm of subconscious. Let's put in some clouds. And then maybe some clouds kind of around here. And whatever this becomes, it becomes. It's gonna stay. Whatever, wherever this is at the end of the stream, it's gonna stay this way. So, fun exercise. Hey, you're back somewhere out there. Thank you. Thanks for popping back in and seeing what's happening. We got an elephant in there. I'm working on some clouds. Working on kind of like rendering some soft clouds. And following my subconscious here. And you guys are all here, so you guys are all part of this painting as well, right? So if you have any ideas on what you want, what you see in this face, what you feel I could add to the environment, you guys are here live. So you can affect this painting. Isn't it crazy that you could be somewhere on the opposite end of the world and you could affect my subconscious or my stream of consciousness by saying something in the chat? Isn't it crazy that you can influence what I draw because you're here live and you can put in your 2 cents? Imagine what Dali would have said in the 30s if you told him that that was possible one day. Like, one day we would all be on this thing called the internet where we can all be connected and all, you know, affect each other from opposite ends of the world. So weird and cool. A small bird. Ooh, a small bird. Okay, okay, okay. But I can't put... Where do I put the bird that's not on the branch? Because you know what? Birds go on branches, right? So we gotta put the bird somewhere where it's like, where it doesn't belong. Where can we put the bird where it's like even more weird? Where it just, you know, how can we use tangents and how can we break the laws of composition here? Where can we put this bird? Upside down on his mustache? All right, all right. Let's see what kind of bird we want to put. Above the elephant? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I kind of want to put a bird. Like the sky just makes sense, right? But it's like maybe we don't want it to make sense. Maybe we'll make it kind of hanging upside down. Let's make the bird hanging upside down like a bat. Oh, cuckoo bird. So cool. That's a great idea. Like cuckoo clocks. Right? Cool. So now what does a cuckoo bird look like? I can't even remember what it looks like. Let's see. Okay, well, it's not super exciting to look at, but I love the idea of the bird coming out of the clock. So let's put the clock in and then we can put the bird in somewhere else. So let's see here. You guys, keep the ideas coming, the stream of consciousness coming. Okay, so I think what we can do is we're gonna draw in our first clock, and the clock is going to be hanging. Let's make the clock kind of hanging on his mustache here. And then I'm thinking about this bird, guys. I'm thinking about where it's gonna go. So there will be a bird. Just not sure where it's gonna go yet. Okay, so we're gonna do the clock. What does that clock look like again? It kinda has like the little, it has like a little knob at the top. And of course it has the rim of the clock. And it's 10:22 my time, so let's put the time in here too. So we've got 12. And the 6 is like melting, so it's down here. 3. Nine. So right now it is 10, 22, 23. Oh, got the real time in here. How exciting. How fun. Alright, so we got a clock. I kind of feel like putting the birds in the, maybe like we can make like a little, on one hand I want to do something natural with the birds, like make it flying, but on the other hand I kind of want it to be surreal, right? So it's almost like I want to put it in a, I do like the idea of a cuckoo clock. I think that's a great idea. Where do I put this melting cuckoo clock now? When I think of a cuckoo clock, I kind of think of this like almost like a birdhouse. So let's put it over here. So let's put a cuckoo clock. So this cuckoo clocks are usually made of wood, but I think in this case it could also be melting. And it has this, like, let's see. I'll make it come out this way. Then the mechanism kind of comes out. I'm trying to think of like how this would come out, and I'm sort of running out of space here. So why don't we do a rubber ducky? Instead of a cuckoo, let's do a rubber duck. Like, super silly. I don't know why a rubber duck just came to my mind. I think it's like, I really like the silliness of how it's rubber when the clock itself is wood, right? And how the wood can actually melt. Just pretty fun. Pretty fun to think about. So here, I guess I have to draw another clock. Right. A cuckoo bird flying with a long neck. Yeah, we could do a long neck. Like maybe like some kind of flamingo, maybe? Flamingo instead of a cuckoo bird? I have to look up a reference because I want like a flamingo that's kind of like mid-flight. I think that might be fun. I think that the cuckoo duck is silly, but I do like the idea of a bird with a long neck better. So thanks for participating, guys. I'm having a lot of fun just like listening to your ideas and seeing them kind of manifest as we go. Let's see what time it is now. It's 10:30. And let's do a flamingo. So it's gonna kind of be like, and these birds don't even have to, they don't even have to kind of be realistic. They can be really kind of bizarre looking. Like his elephants are very bizarre looking, but somehow we know that they're elephants. And if I want the flamingo to kind of like lead the eye back into the clouds, let's bring the neck of the flamingo down this way. I also really like shading with like a big brush or like a bigger, softer brush. Like I'm just using a pencil tool here in Rebelle, but I find that the shading looks kind of nice when I just make that brush really, really big. Yeah, the Garden of Earthly Delights. I know Bosch. What's his name again? Bosch. Earthly Delight Bosch. Yeah, his drawings are super creepy. Really weird, full of like demons and yeah, that Bosch was, I think he made that painting in 1510. Like that, oh my gosh, I don't even know what movement that would potentially be. Like that's probably like Northern Renaissance. Super scary stuff. If you guys haven't seen Bosch's stuff, it's like it's so creepy and yeah, definitely very surreal. Like he was like surreal. There were two surrealists. There was one guy that painted faces out of fruits. Do you guys remember that guy? Have you ever seen his portraits? Like really weird. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find an image to show you guys. What was his name? Giuseppe Arcimboldo. This guy. This guy. This guy. So crazy. This guy was also 1500s Italian painter. So cool, so fun. Oh my goodness. So much fun. This is surrealism, guys. Like this is surrealism before, like 400 years before the actual movement took place. 400 years? Yeah, 400 years. Crazy. So him and Bosch also were around the same time. 1500s, so ahead of its time. Can you imagine? You imagine like somebody paints that in the 1500s, what the church would say, what the, you know, what like people at that time would even say? They'd probably send them to an asylum. Like it wasn't, I don't even know if it was like considered legitimate art, right? But yeah, 1500s. Isn't that crazy? I'm actually gonna make the legs of the flamingo. The legs of the flamingo are gonna be this machine kind of mechanism. It's gonna become the flamingo's legs. It's fun. Yeah. I know, right? Beautiful artwork. So ahead of his time. He's got to be a witch. No, he's a wizard. Let's burn him. Yeah. All right. That flamingo's way better than the rubber duck. That was a great idea. Thank you for suggesting the bird. And the cuckoo clock, Darren. That was a great idea. It was fun. I really like the idea of wood melting. I think it's so fun. So I'm gonna try to make some wood texture. Like wood paneling. Kind of the wood sort of looking like wood at the top, but then melting at the bottom, getting a little bit of shadow. Have I named the guy I drew? This is actually Salvador Dali. Here. That is what it started with. It started with a a portrait of Dali, our surrealist friend, and so this is the world of Dali upside down. So, have I named him? No, but what is Dali upside down? Let's turn this upside down. It would be Lad. He's gonna be Lad. We're gonna call him Lad. Feels great to express yourself without being judged. Yeah, totally. I mean, judge away. Personally, I don't care if you judge my drawings. Judge away. I have gotten over being judged. I mean, judging is a survival mechanism. We have to make judgments for survival, right? Based on everything. Do we trust somebody that we see, right? We trust people who look familiar. We make snap judgments about people just based on their appearance. These things are not fair. It's not fair to society, right? It's not fair when you feel like you're being judged, but like it's just natural. So to kind of like not feel bad when or not feel like you're always being judged, just remember that you can't control if somebody judges you or not, but you can control how you feel about being judged. So if you just don't care, then it doesn't hurt, doesn't affect me at all. Yeah. Yeah, I know. People who make you feel bad for stuff is that they're just like, you know, I feel sorry for people who try to pull you down. I really do, because it just means that they're unhappy with themselves, right? People who are very judgmental, or who, you know, can't be happy for you and have to, you know, make you feel bad about yourself. Those are people who put you down. Those are people who are just like unhappy. So feel sorry for them. Don't let it affect you. Just kind of, you know. I feel bad for them. Okay. So what other themes do we want to put in here? We got another 20 minutes. I like the idea of the floating apple, but I also don't want to interrupt the eyeballs, right? So maybe what I can do is I can turn the eyeballs into apples. So when you look a little bit closely, it's like, oh, there's some fruit. And there's a tribute to Magritte. And it was kind of like an easy little transition. Yeah, he's the lad. And this is our stream of consciousness drawing, which means we are just going to draw whatever we feel like and not have any rules. This is also a style study. This is a surrealism style study. We're looking at some pieces by Salvador Dali, like The Persistence of Memory. So I'm using some of these pieces like the branch, except it has a cuckoo clock that's melting instead of a regular clock. And I really do like his landscapes. Like they're kind of these lonely, reflective landscapes, and I think that might be cool to have kind of like a landscapey element in the background. So we can put in something like, maybe we can put in a horizon line back here. This is a lad's world, yeah. That horizon line is not very horizontal, is it? And let's put in, make the fruit grow off of the elephant's legs. I could certainly do something off the elephant's legs. But I do want to put some bugs on here too. I want to put some bugs. I personally love bugs. I don't know why. They always just make a piece just that extra, give it that extra bit of like texture and just a little bit of creepiness, I guess. So I'll put some cliffs kind of in the background here. And to kind of polish off the landscape. Yeah, tell me your random thoughts. You know, sometimes it's really fun to do stream of consciousness with somebody else, because then your consciousness kind of melds, right? You say a word and then they say a word, and then before you know it, you're you know, creating something together, which is really fun. So I do want to put some ants in here, and I kind of want the hair to have a little bit more texture. Yeah, try this for yourself. Just like do a stream of consciousness drawing for you. So much fun. Let's put some ants in here. So you can see in his painting, he puts in some ants, and I think that would be really fun to do. And I kind of put the ants in the clouds because I think it's kind of funny that they're in the clouds. I do dream about ants sometimes, and I find that I'm always scared that, like, I feel like ants have this network, like they talk to each other, and that if I stepped on one, they would like all gang up on me and find me in my sleep or something. So they have this like intelligence that we don't understand. So I'm like terrified of ants sometimes. Especially the really big ones. So I'm gonna put a few ants here. The other thing that's like really cool about ants is that they can walk upside down. They can kind of like walk in any which direction, which is like they're kind of like anti-gravity, right? Which is pretty cool. So you can kind of have them going in any direction. I feel like a few ants that get the point across. Were they one of the first farmers on Earth? Maybe, yeah. All right, let's see. Is this all on one layer? Yep. This is all on my base layer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm always afraid of animals that like exist in like colonies, like ants, bees, wasps. Right? Like I feel like if you harm one of them, then they're all gonna come and get you. Maybe that's just my own anxiety, but yeah. I don't know. Okay, you've never done digital art. That's okay. I mean, drawing in any medium, Lost Void is drawing. So digital, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff to get used to with digital, but generally speaking, it's pretty similar. There's a bit of a learning curve, but it's pretty similar. It can be a little bit challenging, like if you mostly paint digitally and you've never painted traditionally, the color theory can be a little bit challenging, especially because with color theory, you know, you have to like mix colors and you're working in an RGB gamut for digital art versus like with traditional art you would be you'd be using a subtractive color palette, so like a CMYK or a pigment palette instead of colors made with light. So the color theory is a little bit different. Mixing colors are a little bit different, but for the most part, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but simple enough. We have digital art classes. I teach both. I teach traditional techniques mostly, but I do draw digitally. And yeah, so if you've ever taken a class with us, we have digital art, which works on the fundamentals, as well as traditional drawing foundations classes. So I teach drawing foundations and drawing and painting mentorship. Iggy teaches digital art 1. Jesse and Gonzalo teach digital art 2. But like our students, even in digital classes, you can draw traditionally. In traditional classes, you can draw digitally. So we're not really sticklers for what materials you use. We think you can create in anything that you want. You want to do traditional art a little bit more? Yeah, you know, we did do a lot of traditional content on this channel, but people seem to like digital more, particularly on our channel. So speaking of ants, I think I'm going to draw an ant hill somewhere. I just like the idea of an ant hill landscape. You guys ever seen ant hills, like ant colonies? Some of them are huge, like they're gigantic mounds. I'm gonna put a couple of them in the clouds here, like, you know, those like little ant colonies. They're kind of like these little holes in the ground. They kind of look like this. Right. Like they're these like little ant colonies. And then there are these like really big ones, like these big kind of these big mounds. These epic ant hills in the background. So maybe I need to have some ants kind of coming out from like making a trail. I have no idea why I decided to do that, but it was just it came to me, so I just went with it. All right. So surrealism, super fun. If you ever are stuck on what you want to draw and you want to, you know, experiment with some different styles. I'm drawing a person up here just for scale. Then you could try this stream of consciousness drawing. Start off with a face, or you can start off with anything really. Turn it upside down and see what you can turn it into. Very, very carefree, very fun way of exploring your subconscious. And you can even keep a sketchbook. Like if you ever wake up from a dream in the middle of the night, you can start to draw that dream, right? You can start to draw out some of the dreams that you might have and express it with images. So I kind of want to put some texture on Salvador Dali's face. Like I kind of drew him very young, and I kind of want him to almost feel a little bit older. So I'm trying to find a photo of him where he's like a little bit older so that I can put in some of the textures in his face. Like, look at this guy. Do you think this guy took himself seriously? Like, look at him. Can you imagine going out on the street and seeing a guy with flowers on top of his mustache? Right? Like, this guy rocked it. He was just... Do you think that he cared about people judging him? I think that he must have been very carefree. Or maybe he was just kind of like a performance artist, right? So let's put in some more texture on the face. Just get some more wrinkles. Like, I can see somebody posting a picture of themselves on social media with flowers coming out of their mustache. But I don't see people walking down the street doing that as often, right? It takes a little bit of self-assuredness, right? A little bit of child. Being a child. The lips already look like forehead wrinkles. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit for sure. So... just wanted to add a little bit of texture so it doesn't look so blank. But I feel like to do that I got to turn it back around. Let's turn it back around. All right. Yeah, Dali, I think would have loved social media. I think he would have done really well. I kind of imagined a lot of texture on this face, like a lot of the texture of skin. If I had more time, I would have like really invested some time and energy into making the face feel more realistic, more textured, right? Just kind of like putting in lines, very soft lines, just to make them feel just a little bit older. Like even with a little bit of this line, a little bit of this texture, it's already kind of working nicely to give a bit of color, a bit of value to the face. So yeah, starting in November, we're going to be streaming at noon on Mondays Eastern time, so that we catch more of you guys online. And don't forget to join our Discord. I will be posting this drawing, and you'll get notes if we ever write down our notes on a stream. We'll post those as well. Lots of goodies on our Discord. If you haven't actually joined our Discord, !Discord. We have amazing volunteers on our Discord who give critique. So you can post your artwork that you're working on that maybe you feel stuck, right? Maybe you feel a little bit stuck and you're not sure what to do. If you join our Discord, you can actually get feedback on your whips, on your art in progress. And you know, don't just post your art when it's perfect, right? Post your artwork when you're stuck. Lots of wonderful people to help you out. People that our instructors personally train. And if you want feedback from our instructors, you can join one of our classes or our memberships. So our Total Art Nerd membership is actually where you'll find a lot of our class recordings and a calendar of our live events. You'll get to participate in study sessions with other students, come to mentorships. We have, if you want to be an ultimate art nerd, then you can actually come to unlimited live classes with our instructors. Our live classes are different than these lives because you can actually turn on your camera, ask questions, use the mic. In our mentorships, you can request demos. You can work on your personal projects and get feedback. So lots of really, really fun ways to interact and get support on your artwork. So this was fun. I kind of want to make his ears melting personally. And I remember like Salvador Dali having longish hair. He was kind of made fun of for having this like really unruly hair. So I feel like I'm gonna bring some of that down. Give him a little bit of this like unruliness. And then it kind of like goes behind the clouds, right? So it's like, it's a little ambiguous up here, but still fun. Well, this was a lot of fun. Our stream of consciousness drawing of Dali, or aka Lad if he's upside down. So let's turn him upside down. And, you know, our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So you can start learning with us for free. On Mondays and Saturdays, we live stream lessons on YouTube. And if you join our Discord, we'll ping you when we go live so that you can join, you can participate in our polls. So if you subscribe to our channel, we send out some fun polls so that you can be involved and let us know what you want to see us draw. Because you can then level up your art skills with the biggest art nerd community on the internet. Because we're more than just a YouTube channel, we're an online school of illustration. And we are here to help visual storytellers turn their passion into income. So if you're an artist and you want to learn how to level up your artwork so that you get commissions and you get paid to do what you love to do, join our Discord and you can start your journey with us. A huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you grow in our classes and weekly critiques. So if you join our Patreon or our memberships, you can come to our live weekly critiques where we get on and we can help you get unstuck on your artwork. So we do draw-overs by request. And also you can come and, you know, get different opinions on your artwork from different instructors. So if you want to dive deeper, you can join our Discord to access stream notes and demos, exclusive artwork and challenges. Participate in our monthly challenges where you can be featured on stream, and lots of more free resources to help you improve. So come connect with fellow art nerds and get inspired. All right, everyone, I hope you guys had a great time with me today, and I hope you try out some of these drawings on your own. Again, we did surrealism. This is a stream of consciousness drawing. Thank you to those in the audience who helped me come up with some ideas. Thanks to Jaren for modding, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.